Welcome back to The Last of Us Part 2. So let's continue to the Severina Hotel.
I'm gonna ride. I'm riding free.
No, God, no.
You know,
Wow, Lucky really changed over the years.
This is the edgy reboot.
Exactly.
Normally I'd be pissed, but I have been watching better DreamWorks Netflix cartoons recently.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Well,
so
She-Ra to be exact.
Get it? The WLF symbol is a wolf.
yep, they literally kind of call themselves wolves. It's kind of their motif. So, all right, this is locked, so I guess nothing. All right, so you can move straight to the hotel right now. However, there is one more little optional thingy you can do here, as you're about to see. Again, one of the big advantages of the more big and wide environments is that it allows for more flexibility in how you progress. You know, it gives you a lot of more optional stuff to do, alternate routes, alternate ways to flank enemies, you know. Whereas in the original game, it was much more very MGS1-esque. In the sense that, the environments were, like, there was a very clear pattern and you had to basically, decipher that pattern and go from there. But this is a bit it's not open to the extent of MGS5, obviously, but it does a good job in being linear but not feeling linear, if that makes any sense. And that's basically it. Yeah. So let's see where these infected came into. See what's up with this.
Ah, there's one. And where there's one, there's probably more. Seriously, did these guys just have a radar to find each other so that they can go together in packs?
Well, usually, Joe, one of the primary causes of new infected is spores. So anybody who gets stuck in there becomes an infected for some reason. If or maybe a group of people all at once were attacked by other infected, so they become infected too. So it can vary.
I can imagine their team meetings when they're setting this up. All right, then I'll go. Let's here and I'll go the other way.
Sorry, there's like I've said before. When you become an infected, the mind is the first thing to go, so you don't possess the rationality to, devise a strategy.
Well, I mean, if I just did clicking, then you guys wouldn't understand.
Pretty much, yeah.
Well,
anyway, though, it's like I said, though, wouldn't an interesting plot idea to be what would happen if there was a mutation in the virus that actually allowed some people to keep their sentience of sorts? I don't know. I mean, it's just an idea of something.
That's the thing. Ellie already kind of technically is that because, as explained at the end of the first game, the fungus
she's immune.
Instead of that's the thing, Joe. But remember, the reason why she's immune is because her mutation had a bizarre, abnormal growth in the sense that it grew all around the brain instead of because normally the infection outright goes into the brain and that's where and that's how it starts. But she had the incredible fortune of the fungus growing in a very, very abnormal shape so that it never actually went into her brain. So technically she is infected. It's just that she doesn't have any effects because the brain was never properly affected by the fungus. But the fungus is but technically the fungus is in her head. It's just not growing, basically.
That is, how a lot of immunities tend to work. Immune people do tend to be infected, yes, but infected with a special mutation. I guess my idea is imagine if there are other mutations. Sure, people could mutate, but they would still keep their sanity of sorts. I don't know. Again, it's just, another idea of what to do for a sequel like this. Oh, crap.
Thanks, Dina.
We managed to get ourselves out of that mess.
I guess to be fair, we did kind of interrupt their dinner time. At least two of them looked like they were eating something.
They were eating a human, yes.
So you wonder what
Well,
makes them decide-
Joe Balak yourself said that other federal soldier had no meat left in his bones. Where do you think that meat went to?
You know, you have to wonder what makes them decide which ones they're just gonna bite and which ones they're going to outright kill.
I'm pretty sure they just bite away like wild animals and don't really think.
Well, I mean, their minds are technically kind of on the level of a wild animal.
This one's fresh.
Yeah.
One of those wolf patches.
So this guy recently got killed by them.
Oh, a WLF member.
So that means we're getting close. All right.
Yeah, okay.
Hey, yeah,
I get
okay.
I get the significance of the word gas when you refer to it in American terms,
Grab what we can while we're
but
here.
to me as a Brit, it just kind of makes me think that are they just what's their plan? They're just going to remove the they're just going to take their boilers and move them somewhere else.
You know, though Dina did bring up. I'm sorry. The girls bring up an interesting point, though. How ironic would it be if the people who killed Joe literally just got eaten by the infected?
That would be incredibly anticlimactic.
Plus, it would kind of defeat the purpose of revenge if they're dead anyway, and we can't get revenge.
Yeah, Ellie
Unless-
actually
unless
agreed with you the right there, Dibs. So yeah,
Unless Ellie intends to pee on their corpses.
I think she's actually gonna
I
bring that
can't-
up now. Actually, hold on.
You recognize him? No. Maybe someone else killed these guys. The
Oh.
infected just wandered in.
Oh, never mind. No. Basically, Dina told her, "What if? So yeah, if it would be cool if the infected killed all of them." And then she's like, and Ellie answered, "I'm not sure if that's justice." Basically, so Ellie actually, Ellie actually agrees with you. So
Well, what Ellie's doing isn't exactly justice per se.
well, that's the thing. That's the whole point of her arc, as you're gonna see. Ellie is basically on a downward spiral. To the point where she's going to become more and more of a psychopath as the game goes on. Like I've said before, by the time this game is over, she becomes a far bigger monster than Joel could even hope to be. I mean, but well, I'll expand upon that when we actually get further.
Do you
Yeah,
recognize
imagine if
this one?
I can
No.
imagine like if they did a like imagine if this situation, if all the zombies were gone and they decided to turn. Excuse me. They turned the infected cities into tourist attractions, and the tour guide would be like, "And on your right is the decomposing corpse of a guy who thought it would be a good idea to run at a zombie with no weapons." This is how it ended for him. Let's all point and laugh at his. Let's all point and laugh at his corpse. Ha ha.
So, Ellie, do you recognize this one? No. Do you recognize that one? No. Do you recognize that one? No.
Hell, I would even prefer better if they fully committed to that negative arc, not to without spoiling anything. Let's just say they don't fully commit to the negative arc they prepared for Ellie. But hold on, important cutscene.
Hello? Anyone infected?
Are you alive, sir?
Or anybody in there in general.
Tommy did this.
How exactly do you know that, Ellie? For all you know, it could have been somebody else.
How do you know that?
He's one of the ones that killed Joel.
She knows because she must know.
Oh,
it is her purpose.
Because it was one of the ones that killed Joel. That totally means that Tommy killed him.
That
and-
doesn't prove anything, Ellie. Sorry.
I mean, it's not like there are other factions out there, which, mind you, we will learn there are actually quite a few out there.
I actually do like this reference to the first game, though, that we're about to do.
Oh.
Yes, Tommy did the same thing that Joel did in the first game. She's even going to explain it in a moment, because Dina doesn't know this.
He was using them against each other. How?
Interesting. Sure, it would have been nice if we could have seen that scene, but alright.
Hound, let's hear it.
You ask this guy a question, you don't make him say it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually one of my favorite scenes from the first game when Joel does that. It's because it's a really clever interrogation method.
Okay, don't do a drinking game every time one of the characters says fuck.
Okay, so East 1. So basically, yeah, so yeah, there you go. Tommy managed to get a confession out of them in blood. Okay, this is so this is now an Ace Attorney crime scene apparently.
It is a neat reference, but am I the one who kind of wishes that we could have actually been with Tommy to see that scene?
That would have
You
been
know.
nice.
I'm guessing they thought it would just be a rehash of the Joel scene from the first game. You know.
Well, it's like I said in an earlier scene. How interesting would it have been to have seen Tommy and Ellie, sort of, interact and see how Tommy may be a variation of Joel, but still handles stuff slightly differently.
I actually prefer the way they do it, Joel, because there actually is a scene of it. It's just that it's Ellie that does it, and I actually prefer it for Ellie to be the one to do it because it shows that she learned from her time with Joel. And that's a good payoff for the first game. So I actually prefer that it's Ellie doing it and not Tommy personally.
Yeah, okay, I got a question. As I mentioned, the amount of times they say "fuck" in this game. Are the developers of this game fans of Persona 5? But they were part of the Let Ryuji Say Fuck crowd, and so decided to cram all the fucks in here to make up for it.
Yeah, I was about to say, isn't the whole thing is that he struggles to say it for some
I mean, he says it once or twice, but
What about this? Swearing, as pretentious as it may sound, there's a certain art to swearing here and there. Just saying the F word over and over does not make you profound or clever or whatnot. It just means congrats, you know the swear word. Now you're spouting it off like a 5-year-old.
See, the thing is, it works in a game
Damn,
that's
not
absolutely...
here.
See, swearing profusely works in a game that's absolutely ridiculous, like that one House of the Dead game. I can't remember which one it was, but yeah, here it just seems really odd.
Which is weird because The Last of Us did it perfectly. The first game, I mean.
That kind of sums up this game. Like, outside of the gameplay, a lot of stuff that was done rather great in the first game is just done not as well in this one.
No.
And that's me being very nice.
All right, let's continue. All right, so time for a main plot, quote unquote. But I'll explain what I mean when we get further
Oh,
into
It
it.
was overkill. It was House of the Dead overkill.
Right in time for it to get dark, too.
I don't know, Jova. Personally, I find
No, I mean, the sky is literally getting darker.
Oh, that okay. So yeah, it's almost nighttime, so might want to find some place to spend the night.
I sounded like my mom just now.
Wow, they look at that. They're already sounding like an old couple.
They sound... No, I won't say that would spoil, but you know what I mean. Oh!
It's a trap.
See, now that is a jump scare of sorts that actually works.
Just like the characters themselves, you were caught in a trap.
And Ellie's horse is dead.
Oh. Well,
Yep.
now you
Well, okay. To be fair, it makes sense for them to do it because it's to prevent them from escaping faster. So I can understand.
Well, yes, it makes sense.
I mean, you can accuse this game of animal cruelty later. Trust me, I will. But that's actually one of those cases where it does fit. Obviously, they would take away their big means of transport.
Didn't think I'd ever see you again.
You might remember that this is one of the guys that was there when Joel was killed.
I think we learn his name eventually.
It doesn't matter, Jova. He's about to die in a minute, so who cares?
How many came with you? Just you two?
You can't stop this.
Jordan!
supposed to be out looking for the other one. What the fuck is this?
Wait, you didn't find Dina? She literally just fell by the wayside.
I don't
You
even
got-
know.
We don't know how big that drop was, though.
I don't
I
know.
guess nobody will-
But that's eventually the game didn't show us anything. So yeah.
as
So
far
yeah.
as we know.
So there you go. Isaac, aka the leader of the WF, told us just now to kill them right now. However, this other guy with the cap is all yeah.
Hold up, that doesn't make any sense.
Direct order, man.
No, let's talk to her. Let's figure out what she knows.
I don't give a fuck what she knows. You saw what she did to the others?
You have no idea how many people she might be with. This might be an ambush,
I don't care
Mike.
how many people she's with. We will find them.
Yeah.
How did you
yeah.
survive this long with that logic?
Well,
See?
Yeah. So I'm
Now look what's happened to you.
assuming Dibs you side with Jordan on this one.
well, it's like I said before.
Because Jordan's not a fucking idiot.
Well, Dibs, you know what that means though? That means he has to die.
Again, how did you guys not find Dina? I mean, granted, we're not told how deep that hole was, so... But nobody even looked over the side from what we've seen. So, congrats. Now she's... Well, okay. And yes, turn your back on the girl. The one who you were just interrogating.
Well, to be fair, as far as he knows, she's tied up. So
I get that, but shouldn't he maybe do it so that he can still face Ellie?
I don't know.
Eh,
What to tell,
whatever.
I don't know what to tell you.
Whatever, there are worse things to pick apart.
There you go. See, I told you it wasn't important. Well, there you go. And now time for an escape sequence.
Chuck one up for Joel's revenge.
Oh, how lovely.
Don't waste the bullets.
Ellie, we should go. Somebody would have heard the gunshots. Look,
Are you sure about that? I mean, they didn't find you, so I'm not sure how smart they could be to hear gunshots.
No, they heard it. They're yelling.
Yeah. There you go. All
Right
right.
on cue.
Well, it's a good thing they didn't take away her backpack.
Why didn't they? I mean,
Well, I mean, she
okay,
was tied
The
up. it's not
people
like
in
she
this
could reach.
game aren't very smart.
wait, Tips. They left her
Yeah.
tied up or not. Leaving a backpack on somebody like Ellie in the apocalypse is a bad idea.
Yeah,
Especially when it's clear that they're after you. You know, you'd think they'd ransack them.
Again, that's why it makes sense for them to kill Shimmer, the horse, because that's a good way to take away their means of transport.
That's
know?
the smartest thing they've done all day is kill the horse.
Yes. You see, this is what I was talking about. Jordan was making a smart argument against Mike, therefore he has to die. You know, no.
It really just begged the question: how do the WLF survive? Oh, and don't worry, there's a special "what an idiot" moment for the WLF that TV tropes themselves pointed out. But don't worry, I'm saving that for when we get to it. Let's just say even the leader Isaac is a dumbass.
Okay. So basically, right now we have to get through all of our attackers either through stealth or by killing them. Okay. Okay. If I remember correctly, in this particular bit, I have to kill them because they're already aware that I'm here. So, okay. Here's the first problem I have, and this will become a running thing throughout this game. So basically, plot-wise, this detour didn't really advance anything now, did it? I mean, we didn't learn anything new about the WLF, aside of the fact that they're idiots. We didn't learn anything new about, we didn't flesh out the relationship between Ellie and Dina in any kind of way. They're just attacked and then they get away and escape. That's it. There's literally no point to this detour. It's just a waste of time. And trust me, this game loves to waste your time.
Now I know what you're thinking, audience, but Squirm, maybe this is like the original Last of Us, which occasionally had detours here. Let me put it like this. If the whole plot was wholeheartedly about trying to track down Abby and get revenge on her, this detour would have been fine. Let's just say, remember how I said earlier that the plot gets rather redundant? Let's just say what we're doing with now, none of this will really matter in the long scheme of things. It's pretty badly paced.
Yeah.
Oh no, not Shannon.
Oh, good call, Dwebs. Good call. Basically, Dwebs. One of the primary new, I guess, features of this game is that every time you kill someone in this game, the others, when they see you kill him or her, they'll yell out his or her name. Okay. I can.
Okay, of all the silly things to riff from, you riff from GoldenEye Rogue Agent.
Oh, that's the thing, Debs.
Basically, all the enemies you kill, because basically the whole premise of that game is that you play as some generic Bond villain, and and all the enemies you have like their name atop of them.
Well, that's the thing. That's another idea. The idea, Debs, is that it's a way to force the game's message of hate and violence and how violence is bad. Why? Because
these people have names.
These people have names and family, and you're killing them. Basically.
That you're doing it in self-defense, but you did a bad. Ed is absolutely evil of you.
It's flat out comical to just kill an enemy and have the character go, "No, Maria!" Like it's
that's
kind of somebody. Yeah.
Not only that, but narratively, it's stupid. You don't yell out someone's name when there is a silent killer going around killing people.
That's what got Joel killed.
Your location.
So, okay, I'll just say it right now. Hey, Last of Us 2, Undertale called. They said they did it better years before you did. For a comparison.
I just mentioned GoldenEye Rogue Agent. I mean, that game, from what I heard, wasn't that great either. But that was back in 2004.
Here's the thing,
you think after 16 years he might have done something like that but better, but no.
Not only that, dudes, but the example you listed is better because you're actually playing as the villain of that. Whereas, okay, like I said, the game tries to convince you that Ellie's becoming the villain, but in all honesty, she isn't really because, yes, she kills a lot of people. The problem is that they're mostly done in self-defense. Let me finish. So you're not really doing a good job convincing us that Ellie is bloodthirsty, game.
But don't you see But don't you see, Jova? What she should have done is just choose compassion over cruelty and not even leave Jackson and just get over Joel's death. Don't you see? Revenge is bad. Go ahead.
Mine GoldenEye Rogue Agent's plot was just as fanficky as this one. The plot of that game is that Dr. No declares war on Goldfinger, and you're caught in the middle of it.
Okay, Okay, that's I actually kind of interested in that just because of how gloriously dumb it is.
Yeah,
and basically, and a lot of other famous villains are also part of it, like Scaramanga, whom they actually managed to get Christopher Lee back to voice in that game.
Oh, cool!
Is basically the Q of the game, except evil.
You want to know the stark difference? James Bond is not held up to the standard of trying to convince the audience of a certain morality of the characters. This game, however, does. Like I said,
well, some films touch on that.
Oh, sure, yes, but they're not nearly as in your face or, shall we say, preachy about it. Like,
hell, part of Quantum of Solace's plot was Bond deciding whether taking revenge for the death of someone he loved was a good idea or not. Unfortunately, it was Quantum of Solace, and it was not all by its short length. It was completely mixed up with all the other 85 plots that film had, and with a very short time to tell it as well.
I think the more writers realize that revenge, like anything, is not black and white, the better stories like this will be.
Again, I'm going to bring it up. Lone Ranger handled the concept of revenge a lot better. Now, ironically, the spin on it was that everyone was trying to push the main hero to just nut up and kill the bad guy, But John actually didn't want to go for it because he wanted actually true justice. He wanted to actually bring in the bad guys here. It was when he found out that the justice system is incredibly corrupted that at this point it was better to be an outlaw here. That movie handled the concept of revenge a lot better because it recognized that revenge can just end up being a byproduct of actual true justice, especially when no one else is willing to shell out the justice here and there. And you want to know what else? Lone Ranger, when it came to dealing with the bad guys, was incredibly cathartic here. When it comes to the catharsis factor of this game, it comes in very weird ways. I've mentioned before, there's a lot of catharsis factor that players have gotten out is getting Abby killed whenever playing as her. Heck, just check TV tropes out. It has literally become one of the most liked things to see montages of her death here and there. And most of the catharsis factor comes from when Ellie and company are dealing with the people we're supposed to feel sorry for. Maybe there's... Sorry, go on, Pedro.
Well, no, I should go ahead and finish your thought since you seem like you're almost done.
Yeah, there's a bit of an issue where the most cathartic thing comes from killing the people we, the players, are supposed to apparently feel sorry for.
I actually did enjoy the way Nino Kuni handled in Chapter 8, in the sense that Evan is struggling of deciding what to do about what Mazinger is doing to his people. But then when he reads his father's diary, and he realizes how his father, much like him, really wanted to have Mazinger help him finally achieve peace between the mice and the cats, and he realizes how him taking revenge on Mazinger is not at all what his father wanted, because, and like I've said in the playthrough, a cat king killing the current mouse king, yeah, that's not going to contribute to the peace between the two species now, is it?
If anything, it'll probably ensure that they'll never have peace.
So Evan chose compassion and forgiveness over revenge.
It also helped that Mazinger had been manipulated into killing the king as well, which did sort of help his case as well.
Yeah, the situation had a lot more complications in it than just, bad things, revenge kind of thing.
Yeah, like Mazinger got highly manipulated. Like, hell, even the guy manipulating him got manipulated. That's how high the manipulation went. Abby does not have that excuse.
Nor does Ellie.
Well, again, I get what you mean about Ellie becoming a monster, but I'm gonna be honest. For as much as the game tries to tell me, what Ellie is doing is wrong here and there, it does a terrible job trying to convince the player of that. Because, yes, what Ellie's doing is wrong, but they try to suggest that she's becoming a monster. The problem is that her actions contradict it. She does show visual regret for her actions when she kills people, unlike Abby.
That's the thing, Jova. She only does it in occasional moments. Like, for example, there's a scene where she kills a woman and then she finds out right after killing her that she's pregnant, and then she throws up because of it. Oh, so Ellie, for all you know, those other women you've killed along the way, some of them might have been pregnant at a very early stage where it's still not visibly noticeable. Like, it's one of those cases where the game now suddenly decides to reinforce the point that revenge is bad and violence is bad because you're killing real people and shit. However, how am I supposed to care that Ellie now all of a sudden is having second thoughts about this when she's been killing hundreds of people throughout this entire game, and right after that scene she will go back to doing the exact same thing? Like, so it's what? So she completely flip-flops between regretting her revenge and not regretting it. It's a fucking mess. Like,
hence my reasoning as to why the game does a terrible job trying to make us side with Abby against Ellie later on. Like, I'm sorry, but you can't even stay consistent with how you're characterizing Ellie in her supposed downfall here and there.
I would actually much prefer it if they fully committed to it. Turn Ellie into a monster, but go full head with it. Literally have her become so blind with avenging Joel to the point where she's and have Dina be the one that tries to call her to reason and fail at it. And it's like that way you could actually make their interactions between these two actually interesting you know.
And
But no, they don't actually commit to the negative arc of Ellie. I'm okay with Ellie having a negative arc, aka an arc where she goes from being a good person to a bad person.
that would have been very interesting.
But the game doesn't actually commit to it. Instead, it decides to do whatever it takes to force feed the message that violence. You can still do that. Just have her go all the way to the point where she kills all these people, and then by the end of it, she's left with nothing. That way, you will make your point that revenge leaves you nothing, but does nothing but leave you still hollow.
That's really one thing that I don't get. Like, it's clear that they want us to side against Ellie, but like you said, they don't commit fully to making her, an actual monster. So it's like, what was the thought process here? Literally, what was the thought process?
It even becomes even more hilarious, Joba, when we get back to Abby, and not to spoil anything, but let's just say, Dwebs, the way Neil and Haley write Abby, in order to contrast Ellie, they write her as the most cartoonishly nice person you'll ever see, basically. To give you that's the thing, Julius. To give you an idea, that's the thing, Dubs. To give you an idea, Dubs. One of the first scenes we're gonna see with Abby later on is her literally stating that she would be willing to give her life to save the world. And I'm like, yeah, of course you would, honey. Of course you would. Like it's so obvious. Like the writing is so obvious. Do you like Abby now, Dibs? Do you like Abby now?
Pedro, hang on. Sorry, I gotta say this. So hang on. Ellie just killed someone and no one yelled, "No, Sarah!"
That's the thing, Dibs. They do it sometimes, but not always.
I brought up Undertale earlier. Let me put it like this. Undertale is an incredibly cartoony indie game, yet the characters there feel more real than the characters here. Why? Probably because... Like, for example, there's a character that if you kill, you think would have no effect on the plot whatsoever, but actually does have deep effect on the plot, but is shown more subtly through the ending and whatnot into how it all ties together here. You actually get to interact, know these characters in and out here and there. Like, and that's the problem. When you try to humanize mooks in a video game, you gotta do it a certain way. Undertale does it in a sense where, hey, you kill some randoms here and there. Yeah, the game will call you out on it, but it's there nice and quick. Not something that's supposed to linger like shouting out the name of votes you killed. Now, if it's per se a certain boss character who you killed, then obviously that one has more effect because there's actual focus on it.
I actually really like the way Ni no Kuni 1 did it. In the sense that you've been helping all these people throughout the entire game, and then when we get that little bit with P, where Oliver hits his lowest low, and then the game gives extra significance to all those apparently minor characters that Oliver has been helping throughout the game.
Mm-hmm.
Isaac's got us posted up in 2 weeks at the TV stations. Cross button here. Here's something to hold you over, Lee.
So, Shiroi, curious. Are you endeared to these characters by having their names be shouted at?
Sorry. Oh, no, I'm back now.
So, Shiroi, are you endeared to these mooks that we've been killing because their names were shouted out to the heavens?
No, because they're trying to kill us.
Exactly.
This is why this is stupid.
But don't you see, Shiroi? If Ellie had just stayed at Jackson instead of pursuing a senseless revenge quest, she wouldn't even be facing this problem. So it's on her.
So why is it not okay for her to do it, but Abby to do it?
Because, Shiroi...
Why can't she make her own life also? What the fuck?
Because, Shiroi, Abby was doing it because Joe was a bad person, okay? Abby is wonderful.
Well, he's doing it because Abby's a bad person.
But Abby is wonderful, okay? You have to understand this, okay?
She's terrible.
Shiroi, you're going to hate one of the ways they try to endear us to Abby. Let's just
to give you an idea, Shiroi, there's literally a scene Okay, you know who Abby is, you know the Abby is and why she killed Joel, because you saw the leaks with me.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, without spoiling it for anybody else, including Dribs, there's literally a moment, Shiroi, when she's talking to that person, you know, the one that she's avenging, and she literally says, if it was me, I would want you to do the operation. That's how noble she is, Shiroi. She is willing to give her life for the whole world. See how noble and wonderful she is? Isn't she? Isn't she, Shiroi? Do you
No, she's not.
That's again, like I said, that's the only way they have of making us love Abby. After that, they turn into this cartoonish saint, you know.
Honestly, and here's what I don't get. If you wanted to endure to Abby, maybe try and endure before she kills Joel. No, I'm not saying it would have been impossible to try and redeem the killer. I mean, hell, Fast and Furious did that with Jason Statham's character after he killed Han.
You know what you could do, Neil, as Aaron from Last Airbender would say. You know what you could do, Neil. You could do what you did in the first game. Don't make your characters necessarily likable. Make them complex, like Joel. Just saying.
Oh, hell, even better. Do the original idea you had.
Seriously.
That would have worked.
Seriously. I mean, okay. Yes. Okay, sure. Yeah. Abby killing Joel would have been controversial. No two beans about it. But by God, have her at least hesitate. And then eventually, when she does kill Joel, see the error of
cardio.
Oh, right.
Cardio. So basically, the Flash, kind of.
A card for cardio.
Okay. 50 brains, 60 brawn. So affiliation with none. His real name is Pedro Rojas. Pedro Rojas was a long-distance runner who dreamed of winning, but always came up short. When Spark offered him limitless stamina in exchange for using him as a test subject for their new Velocitanium artificial hearts, he immediately accepted the deal and then escaped, going into hiding. Now known as Cardio, he can run faster and farther than anyone alive. Pursued by Spark, they still want him back to finish their experiments. They'll just have to catch him first. Hero. So basically, he's a hero who's pursued by the evil, greedy Spark Corporation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, seriously, it would have been better if you integrated Abby into, the settlement that they had. We could have gotten to know her, how, she could have grown close with our protagonists, and then, the hesitation. But no, it's like, if you wanted to make Abby endearing, you should have just stuck to your original idea.
Like, literally, Neil, a lot of this could have been solved if you pulled a Lion King 2, Simba's Pride. Basically, essentially, the chosen descendant of Scar's, Kovu, is sent in to assassinate Simba. So, of course, he earns over the favor of the Pride so that he can be allowed to try and prove himself to it.
Which is interesting to say that, Showa, because the theme of that movie is basically the same that this movie is: compassion over cruelty. So
exactly.
That's interesting, actually.
Congrats!
That movie is basically a revenge plot, from Scar's followers. Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And, again, though, the thing was that it was Kovu finding out the truth about Scar's demise, and how Scar's hatred did him in. That, and you know what? It was done subtly enough that it didn't feel heavy-handed or anything.
Yeah, I like Lion King 2, and however, I will also agree, not that it does have its fair share of issues here and there. Like, one thing that I never really believe, Kovu's redemption, completely earned. However, I think the Linuses at the end, they were a bit too convinced, not Zero, of course, because Zero, of course.
Yeah, she ended up dying, didn't she?
Yeah, but the other Linuses, Vitani especially, they came around just a bit too easily. But that's, maybe they ran out of time and they couldn't, expend more on the plot. But whatever, cutscene.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate that movie, but I do have some issues with it that I'll bring up when we get to it.
Oh, she's one of them. Screw her then.
Well, that detour was a waste of time. We didn't really. We're gonna learn our next destination, but come on, you couldn't come up with a less, a shorter detour to get to the point where they realize they need to go to the TV station.
Here's the thing. I, as someone who's seen the story, know the real reason why this happened. Just to add more people to the body count under Ellie. That's the real narrative reason we had this detour. Other than that, not really much. And that's a pacing issue here. Like, it's essentially just, oh, Abby's not here, moving on. So it's essentially your murder victim is in another city.
Mm-hmm. All right, so now we're up to find this Lee person who should know where Abby is.
I'm getting a bit ahead of myself a little bit, but like one thing I read recently where, because I know we have discussed the morality issue with this game a few times already, but it's like that somebody, like some people saying this game is technically morally ambiguous because by the end you hate everyone anyway, so...
Well, actually,
you kind of just stop caring.
well, actually, that's not moral ambiguity. Moral ambiguity means you don't. I mean, you hate everybody because they're terrible people. That's not moral ambiguity.
I suppose the idea of that moral ambiguity is that everyone's down on the same level, which is a
that's what they were getting at. Yeah, everyone's on the same level of shit.
That's the lazy kind of moral ambiguity. Like,
exactly.
Moral ambiguity is something like Last of Us Part 1 or Clockwork Orange, something like that. Not so much this.
Well, that's good moral ambiguity.
So, children, what have we learned today?
Keep an eye out for patrols.
That it's
sad when an average at best Disney direct-to-DVD sequel does its plot better than this game.
And also that we're supposed to care about mooks in video games now, too.
And that it's perfectly okay to kill someone who's trying to kill you.
Exactly. Now look, okay. I'm not going to say that a game has never been able to make me feel sorry for mooks before. No. There are quite a few. Undertale, like I mentioned before. Nier is actually a very good example of how to make you feel sorry for the mooks. In that case, the shadows of sorts here and there. See, here's the thing, though. That game doesn't force you to feel sad about them. It leads you into a certain bout of thought, and then later it's revealed, holy crap, I was in the wrong about these guys. But, it's done in a way that doesn't feel like it's incredibly heavy-handed or forced upon you. It's revealed, and you can still see why the characters would have done this. That, they just didn't know, and they see Bleach for it.
All right, everybody. See you for the next part.
See you then.
See ya.